If you love vintage fragrances, this is going to be a fun video for you. I have here 4 new vintage fragrances, new to me, that I've added to my collection. These are fragrances that I got on recommendation from someone. Some others I did some research on, and then one particular one I've wanted for a really long time, and I'm so happy to finally have it in my collection. But these are 4 gems, and by the way, if you want variety, I have here a fragrance that is super sweet and gourmand and fun. I have aldehydic, I have green, I have floral. This is going to be a very diverse video. So with that being said, if this is your first time on this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I love fragrances, clearly. I talk about them here roughly 3 times a week with a new video on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays with a bunch of bonus content in between. In addition to that, I do have a TikTok and an Instagram where I publish content under the username ANECHKAFRAGRANCES. So with that being said, let's dive right in. These are, obviously these are fragrances that are newer to me, so I'm going to be giving you like my surface level impression on some of these. Some of these fragrances I've been wearing for more than others, but I'm excited. And if you have any personal experiences or memories associated with any one of these fragrances, kindly do share them in the comments below. I love reading your experiences and your feedback on these particular fragrances, because I feel like these kinds of videos can get very nostalgic, and I love that. So let's kick things off with a fragrance that I have had on my to buy wish list for such a long time. This is from Lanvin. This is called Arpege. You might recognize this fragrance as one of the most iconic aldehydic fragrances to ever exist. This fragrance was launched in 1927 by Anais for Jean Lanvin, and this fragrance was a gift for her daughter Marie Blanche's 30th birthday. So of course the fragrance itself is like this very like chic kind of black bottle design with gold accents, and if you look closely you can see an image on the front of the fragrance. Now this is actually supposed to be an image of Marie Blanche, the child, and her mother together, and this is actually based off of a photograph that I was able to find. So this is kind of like mother and daughter getting ready for a ball together. So this whole image was in the inspiration for the actual fragrance bottle itself. So there is a little bit of like history and a bit of personalization with that. So I absolutely love that detail. The perfume itself is an aldehydic white floral with top notes of aldehydes, lily of the valley, peach, honeysuckle, neroli, and bergamot, a mid of jasmine, ylang-ylang, lily of the valley, iris, coriander, rose, lily, camellia, and geranium, and then a base of sandalwood, amber, vetiver, musk, benzoin, vanilla, and patchouli. Okay, so Arpege is often compared to Chanel No. 5. Both of these fragrances play around with aldehydes a lot. Both of them were launched in the same decade. Arpege, however, is a really just like crisp, soapy aldehydic fragrance, and I would love to actually compare the 2 fragrances. I will say right now my nose is a bit stuffed up, so my ability to smell is limited by allergies, so that's fantastic, but I would happily do a comparison of the 2 fragrances when I'm a little bit more perceptive to scent, because right now I'm struggling. But basically, from what I can tell, this is a woody aldehydic but very clean, soapy, crisp smelling fragrance with a slight undertone of fruitiness, but not done in a modern way, not done in like a gourmand peach way, the way you'd see with contemporary fragrances. It's more old school aldehydes, a crisp aldehydes. And the thing is, I kind of see fragrances, like the trend cycle with fragrances, mimic that of fashion in many ways, because we have normalized the idea of taking vintage silhouettes and vintage motifs and reincorporating them into our contemporary wardrobes when it comes to fashion. But when it comes to fragrance, I think a lot of people tend to have like a very generalistic view of what a vintage fragrance will smell like, and they tend to class vintage fragrances under the same umbrella of being unwearable, being unrealistic for the modern day consumer, when in reality this whole idea of aldehydes. It's nothing new, but it's also something that's not been forgotten either. If you look at what's trending right now with like clean girl, soapy smelling fragrances, that is in a way very much in keeping with Chanel No. 5 or Lanvin's Arpege. These are fragrances that also have aldehydes, and also they, or at least Arpege, doesn't cost an arm and a leg either. Like, I got this bottle for about 25 USD, and this is a 100 milliliter bottle, and frankly, $25 is not an outrageous sum to be spending on a fragrance, especially if you're getting something that is easily comparable to or a good alternative for what is coming out on the market today. So I think it just goes to show that you don't always have to automatically go for like the newest thing to get something that still could be relevant in today's taste. So with that being said, that's Lanvin's Arpege. Let's move on to the next. So I actually saw my best friend's mom a few weeks ago, and it was kind of funny because we hadn't seen each other in a really long time, and we were just catching up, and we started watching my YouTube channel, which, to be honest, sometimes I hate watching videos of myself in front of other people. That's like, I can't do it. Like, it's one thing to know that people are watching it just in general, but it's another when you're watching it with people you know and you're seeing yourself like on a TV or something like that. It's just like very jarring. But we were watching one of my vintage fragrance videos, and she actually suggested that I try out Paloma Picasso, and I bought it on her recommendation, so thank you very much, Adla, if you're watching. But basically, this is a fragrance that was created by Paloma Picasso's daughter, and this perfume is inspired in part by the fact that her maternal grandfather was also a perfumer. So I'm going to dive into the notes real quick. This, I will say, was love at first sniff for me. So this is a fragrance with carnation, coriander, rose, angelica, neroli, bergamot, and amalfi lemon at the top, a mid of patchouli, hyacinth, jasmine, ylang ylang, mimosa, and then a base of oak moss, civet, castoreum, vetiver, sandalwood, musk, and amber. So this is a perfume that to me smells very like green and herbal, but with a kind of like spicy sandalwood and malic depth to it that I really, really love. The carnation here adds a little bit of like an aromatic greenness to the fragrance. And this whole perfume is very like, it's very like musky sandalwood focused. So if you like that kind of scent profile, you will like this a lot. And I just think that this fragrance is just so cool and interesting. There's something like very like bohemian about it. It's not necessarily a fragrance that is solely animalic or solely focused on those musks. It's a green fragrance, but there is that animalic, there's still that sandalwood undertone to this perfume as well. It's a very multifaceted scent. So this fragrance was launched in 1984, and the nose behind this fragrance is Francis Beaucris. So yeah, I really, really like it. So apparently Paloma Picasso's favorite fragrance was Chanel No. 5, so she wanted to create a perfume with an aldehydic accord. And yeah, it's a floral chypre with a Mediterranean temperament. Interesting. So yeah, it's a really intriguing perfume. If you are familiar with Paloma Picasso, definitely let us know in the comments. What did you think of it? Did you wear it? Did you love it? Do you still love it? There's something quite interesting about this perfume. It's one of the fragrances, and I'm accumulating a larger collection of vintage fragrances, and this stands out to me. So yeah, right when I tried it, it was love at first sniff. I really, really do like it a lot. Next, I have a fragrance called Cabotine de Gres. So Cabotine is a perfume, and I actually would like to dive a little bit deeper into this, maybe potentially do a fragrance report podcast episode on Gres in general. but Cabotine is a perfume, the second perfume that was launched by the house of Gres, and this was launched in 1990. I'm going to read you the description of notes off the back of the box. This is the box, and the fragrance opens on a surprising whirlwind of mandarin, ginger, and ylang-ylang as a prelude to the outburst of a unique floral accord. In the heart note, tuberoses and hyacinths, sensuous corollas mix with ginger lily. This floral symphony lies on a dry down blending patchouli, sandalwood, musk, and blackcurrant. Ginger lily is a perennial flowering plant. Apparently, it's native to the Himalayas, and from what I can find, it only really does bloom for a few hours at a time. So I need to do some more in-depth research to see if they are using natural ginger lily here or synthetic reproduction, but basically that is a central key player in this perfume. What I find quite intriguing about the scent is that, of course, yes, it is a green floral perfume, and I do think that the composition of this fragrance is, yes, floral, but there is a green spiciness to it, but it is very creamy, very buttery. It kind of reminds me of florals done in a similar way to as a Gardenia by Elizabeth Taylor. So that is another vintage fragrance that I absolutely love, and it has like this like very like buttery, naturalistic Gardenia smell. Well, here you have like that similar buttery, naturalistic smell, but with the florals listed, like the ylang-ylang, the tuberose, hyacinth, and the ginger lily. So you have like a very robust, creamy, buttery floral composition here. And what's also interesting is that you do have aldehydes here, but unlike, say, the aldehydes in Arpege, for instance, the aldehydes are at the top, or like at least I perceive them to be at the top. And they're very sparkly, they're very vivid, you know? They capture your attention right away, like they're very like bubbly and like almost champagne-like. Here, I also perceive aldehydes, however, they're not at the top. You perceive them bubbling from underneath the notes. So you have here those slightly citrusy, beautiful floral notes, and you have like the aldehydes like bubbling underneath. So with that being said, you have here a fragrance that has a lot of strength to it. This fragrance is a really powerful perfume. It has like a very sharp sillage to it. In fact, I sprayed this on my hand an hour or two before filming this. In fact, a lot of people have actually said that this is one of the most potent fragrances in their collection, and they have even said that it might be a little bit too potent for them. I don't know if it's the fact that I have allergies or what. I don't see this as being outrageously potent. I see this as being potent, not outrageously so. But yeah, it's a really interesting perfume. A little bit more about Gres. Gres was an haute couturier based in France. Now, the House of Gres is very known for their sculptural designs focused on draping, and I believe they also had a ceramics line as well. Maybe that's why like the bottle cap is like this really distinctive kind of like jade green floral design, which is quite interesting. So yeah, let me know. Have you tried this perfume? If so, what did you think about it? I think that this is one of those fragrances that's probably going to be a perfect option for this spring because it has like this floral composition to it. It's a green fragrance too. I get like that greenness, but it's not anything I've ever smelled before. It's quite interesting. It's very interesting. So kind of like almost refreshing, and I don't know if that's a combination or if that's the aldehydes or the citruses or a combination of the two. But Paloma Picasso, yes, this is also like a green and herbal fragrance, but it's less refreshing. It's more like musky, animalic. But Cabotine is more of a fragrance that has like almost like this refreshing, airy quality to it. Maybe that's the aldehydes, but either way, a very compelling fragrance. Happy to have it in the collection. I do want to close by talking about a flanker of a fragrance that you guys already know that I love, which is Anais by Cacharel. So I have Anais, the original, and I've talked about it before. I really, really love this one. It's a really compelling, kind of like sandalwood, animalic musk fragrance, beautiful with white florals. However, I was in the duty free in Casablanca and I came across this one in the sales section and I was really intrigued by it, and I figured, why not actually buy it? This is the most lovely, juicy, sparkling pear fragrance. And I don't have a lot of pear fragrances in my collection whatsoever. So I'm so happy to have this one. It's just a really happy perfume. So Anais Premier Delice is a floral, fruity, fresh fragrance with notes of pear, orange, bergamot, and galbanum at the top, a mid of peony and hyacinth, and then a base of cacao and cedar. So with this fragrance, it was actually launched in 2014. So is this a fragrance that can be considered a vintage? Debatable. It's 12 years old as of me filming this video, but I do think that it captures that kind of like 2000s, like early 2010s, bright, vivid, vivacious, fragrant personality. There are a lot of new fragrance releases out there that include like very bright and like juicy fruits, and in this particular case you have like a bright and juicy pear. However, if you're trying to find something that is a way more cost effective and that's been around for a little bit longer, then this is probably going to be a really solid option for you. It's $20. It's a no-brainer. I bought this in Casablanca and I wore it for a few days when I was in Paris, and it's just like a fun fragrance, like very like very shampoo. I'm struggling. Very shampoo-y, very like just juicy, girly, like it's just pear juice in a bottle. It's fun, okay? Like it's fun if you're looking for a pear fragrance. This is a really interesting one, so I feel like that rounds out this video very effectively. You have here a lot of variety, a lot of different fragrances here. Let me know, has anyone stuck out to you? Are these fragrances that you're super familiar with? Would you like to see more information about either or any one of these perfume houses, or a deeper dive into some other fragrances that I might not have mentioned yet? Let me know what you want to see next in the comments below. Also, if you have any recommendations to share, do also tell us in the comments below. As always, thank you very much for watching till the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!